Hello traders, Sid here with another video, and in this video I'm going over my watch list which has some stock with a decent setup that has potential to play out in this week. So without any further ado, let's get started. Now let's start with the overall market, how it looks and what is happening over there. So as you guys can see here, we are still in the box. We are pretty much range bound, and that range is slightly over here from 44.50 to almost 42.50, 44.50 to 42.50. We are just hanging in this range, almost like a 200-point range. If you look at the bigger picture, then this is basically winding more energy. It will going to burst out soon. Either it will be on the upside or it will be on the downside. We never know. Considering the global situation with Russia-Ukraine war, inflation, also the war and all those sanctions are causing the supply chain issues. Oil prices are going up higher and higher. That will affect the upcoming inflation data. If one situation resolved, probably it will help other situation to get their resolution, so that we can have some certainty and we can have some kind of like a direction where market wants to go. But clearly in this situation we are just trading sideways more and more without having a particular direction. Okay guys, trading aside, we need to focus a little bit outside of our trading and what is happening with Russia-Ukraine war. What I suspect is Putin is not going to invade Ukraine completely, because Russian army is having problem with their logistics. Their military equipments are not well maintained and they are breaking down, so it's kind of like stopping them from progressing inward in Ukraine and capturing all the major points. What I think is like Putin will not going to conquer all the Ukraine. He will take some part of the Ukraine right across this river, and Russian army will stop over there. If that happen, then probably we will see a resolution within month, by the end of this month or even before that. If it depends how far Putin wants to go, and I hope he is talking about using nuclear power and all those things. I don't want to see that scenario unfolding in front of my eyes, because that will be a devastating situation and it will affect neighboring countries altogether, and it will hit market pretty badly. So I think that will happen with Russia-Ukraine war. Once he cover this region, he will give up and he will basically divide the Ukraine in two parts. One part covered by the Russia and other part will Ukrainian people will live over there. So that was just a brief summary of what might happen in upcoming days with Russia-Ukraine war. So this S&P 500 mini futures is having this kind of like a wedge formation, which is kind of like a bear flag, and we need to see like how it unfolds. But as I said before, everything depends on the global situation, and basically market is not reacting on fundamentals anymore. It's just reacting on the news. Friday was the same day we had initial sell off, and then we kind of like rallied back up, then came down again. So there is no clear direction in the stock market. So let's talk about the VIX. VIX is still about 30, and as you guys can see here, it is also forming this rising wedge. But this VIX measures the volatility in the market, and when VIX drop, market rallies, and when VIX goes up, market tanks. So it's an inverse relationship between overall market and the VIX. Since this is a rising wedge formation, probably if some resolution happen between Russia-Ukraine war, that will release some tension from the market, and we will see VIX goes down towards 25 level, around here in this 25 level region, and we will have some kind of like a relief rally in market. Let's move on to the SPY. So in case of the SPY, as you guys can see here, this yellow line is 50-day moving average. It crossed this 200-day moving average, which is in the red. So it's kind of like a death cross situation, and market is selling off as usual. Now we are in this megaphone formation. At this point there will be two scenarios. First, we will retest this low level around like 425 or probably around like 420, and then bounce back again, or we will continue this rally up towards 444, 445, and then come back down from there. Also, we have this small gap between 433 and 434, which need to get filled. In terms of the option activity, I have seen this 400 put, and overall market is bearish. You guys can see here this red volume is put premium is 1.51 billion compared to call premium that is in millions. So overall market is looking for SPY to drop to 400, and this is the line in the sand. Like, we have to defend this 400 line. If we couldn't hold this, then that will be very, very bad for the overall market. Also, we have this huge gap fill. Probably market wants to fill this gap and then bounce from here. So that's it for the SPY. Moving on to Amazon. Had a quite sell off on Friday and dropped back down to 2912. I think like in upcoming weeks, either we will see bounce back from 2900 to 3000 level, or we might drop even further. We might hang between that 2900 level for a while, and before dropping further towards 2850 and 2750. That is very likely scenario, because market is overall bearish on Amazon, even though option activity wants Amazon to move towards 3000 and 3200, which is not possible. That is for the Amazon. Moving on to Caterpillar. Now the Caterpillar, this is something weird that I don't understand, like why this Caterpillar stock is moving up. Probably because of the Biden speech, because Biden wants to invest heavily in infrastructure. Maybe that's why. But I've been hearing about that infrastructure bills since last year. Considering this move that Caterpillar had in last few days, I can clearly see that it will retest this 200 level, and we need to see whether it has enough energy left to fill this gap between 201 to 203, and above that we have another gap to fill, which is from 207 to 209. The option activity suggests that it will make a move towards 200, which is highly likely. So I will see where it wants to go, and based on that I will open a trade on Caterpillar. Also, as you guys can see here, I have this all moving averages over here. So the blue line is 20-day moving average, yellow one is 50, white one is 100, red one is 200, and blue one is 300-day moving average. Moving on to the coin. Now the coin is kind of like based on the Bitcoin price, and Bitcoin is falling. Now we had a huge rally or some relief rally in last week, where we saw Bitcoin move toward beyond $40,000 level, but now it's coming back down. As you guys can see here, this is a Bitcoin current price, and right now we are at 38,000 level. Also, this is a bear flag formation, and we broke down from there. If either we will retest this level and move back up from there, failing this bear formation, but I don't think so that will happen. Let's see what happens in upcoming 12 to 14 hours before market opens tomorrow. So for coin, I think it's going to come down even further. Now it's at a critical level 165, which is a kind of like a level where from which we bounced off earlier 1, 2, 3 times so far. Now the overall option activity is hanging between 170 to 190 level, and the overall market is still bearish. As you guys can see here, the put premiums are more than call premium, so I don't see why it can't go to 140 level from here to 190 level, which is somewhat right over here. So it can make a move like this to this. So just keep that in mind. Just see the Bitcoin price, where what Bitcoin is doing. Based on that, you can place a trade either on the put side or on the call side. So that is about coin. Let's move on to Costco. So Costco had a decent move after their earning, and now it is pulling back. There is enough room left for it to come back down to 500 level, and right now we are at 525. It can retest this level around 515 before making another leg high. Right now the option activity indicates a price movement between 470 to 550. Now the 470 level is right around here, and 550 level is right around here, which is quite a range. I don't think so that will happen. Probably we will retest this 494 level, this level. If we couldn't hold 515, we can come back down, and we will retest this trend line resistance once again. In that case, the scenario will look like this. Let me mark it in red. Okay, so that's those are the two likely scenarios with Costco. Moving on to CrowdStrike. So CrowdStrike and all the cybersecurity stock got a nice bull rally. So we have this like a huge rally up towards 205, and then we rejected from that level. Right now we are at 179. Overall, market is still bullish, and the target is 200, which is quite possible considering the war scenario that is going on. All the military or the defense related stocks has good momentum behind them, so we can see this 200 level if CrowdStrike bounce back from this level from 179. Otherwise we will have this retest of this down lower resistance level of this megaphone, and then bounce back again from there towards this 170 180 level. Also they have earnings on 16th March. So those are the two scenarios that are in play with CrowdStrike. Let's move on to the DWAC. I think they want to retest this 110 120 level that I marked over here, but I don't see its evaluation is insane considering what they are doing. It's very similar to Twitter or Facebook, maybe hybrid of both. But since they launched recently, they don't have any revenue, or they don't have any proof for their economical success, or their business model is working, or their application is doing good on both Android and Apple platform. I tried to search it on Google Play. I couldn't find it, the Truth Social or something like that application name. So I'm highly skeptical about their move. Also their evaluation is somewhere around like $84 billion, which is kind of like insane for the company that has no profit, no viable history to track. Personally, what my plan is for it to reach to $110 or somewhere close to that, and from there I will open a debit put spread, and I will give enough time, around like 3-month time, for it to make that move. And also the highest open volume and open interest is towards the 70 put strike, which is somewhere around here. Kind of makes sense if you really see this rising wage formation. Moving on to Eli Lilly. Now Eli Lilly, I just added that because it had this massive move towards the upside, and it almost at this level where kind of like it's completing this cup formation towards 262 level. I don't see any reason for it to move higher other than we have this gap right between 273 to 276.77. So if it wants to fill this gap, then that's a one scenario where it can move up, fill this gap, and then come back down. Otherwise, we will see a decent pullback right towards 249, jump back above, then come back down. So let me mark this in green as a scenario 1. Scenario 2, Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin is another war beneficiary stock because of all the war activity that is going on, and other countries are raising their budget to their military budget, like Germany. I think there is a little bit more upside left in Lockheed Martin. Right now we are at all-time high around 458, and probably we will see 500 pretty quickly towards this level before we will have some kind of like a pullback. It's also in a rising wedge formation, and probably it will retest this 450 level before bouncing back up towards 500. Now if the military situation resolve between Russia, Ukraine, and overall global tension related to the war, if it get resolved in a peaceful manner, then it will drop like a stone in a pond, in a water or whatever it is, and it will retest back to, it will come back down to this 396 or $400 level pretty quickly. So watch out for that. Moving on to Microsoft. Now the Microsoft is at interesting position. If you take a look at this long trend line from this support, so we bounced back, we respected that trend line over here, we bounce it back from here, also from here, and right now we are at that level. That the one scenario that is in play is like it can come back down to 286 285 level, then move back again towards 298 or 300 level. Or if we couldn't if we broke this trend line, then probably we will come back down even further towards 277 275 level, and then we will retest this previous trend line once again around 289.90 before making a further move. Also the option activity is hovering around 280 to 305 level, so that makes sense, this overall play that is going on with Microsoft. These both scenarios are in play, so I will mark this in green one and this one in the red one because it has more downside. So just have that in mind with Microsoft. PANW or Palo Alto Network, this one similar to LMT or Lockheed Martin, had a huge rally up towards 595, almost 600, and now it's coming back down. It has this trend line as you guys can see here. So this channel trend line, the upward resistance is somewhere around like 525 level, and it can easily come down to this level 525, bounce back up from there, retest this 250 level, and come back down again. Now it made this move pretty fast, so pullback was necessary. We had this pullback, but I think like there is more room left towards the downside to come back down and retest this 225 level before making further move. Also the option activity indicates that market wants it to move towards 530 level, which is in line with the technical analysis that we have over here. So that's it for the PANW. Moving on to the Shopify. after their earning with all their guidance and everything, I think Shopify is still overvalued and it will come back down eventually to 500 level. We have this gap to fill between 545 to 525, so that's a $20 gap to fill. If we are at a critical level at the $600 level, if we couldn't hold this whole number, then definitely we are coming down to 500. Also, the overall market activity or the option activity indicates that it will move towards the 500 is highly likely. So keep this in mind, and be careful if you are playing with Shopify with options, because their option premiums are quite high. Spreads between ask and bid is wide, and it moves pretty significantly in either direction, towards the downside or towards the upside. So be very careful with while playing with Shopify. Moving on to the snow after their recent earning dropped like a stone, and I think there is enough room left. Their price to free cash flow is very high, very significantly high, and basically what it indicates that it caps all the future growth in this price. So considering its price, all the ratio, like price to free cash flow ratio, it doesn't make sense in this current market for its current price, that is 209. I think it's going to come back down to 200. If it couldn't hold that $200 level, then it's basically coming down even further towards 180, and that's very likely considering the upcoming rate hike and all those things. Moving on to the Square is also in a similar situation. We are forming this diamond formation right over here, so it's definitely going to come down. We are right at the edge of this gap fill from 105 to 95, $10 move. It will definitely come down, fill this gap, bounce back from this $90 or $89 level. It will fill this gap, rebounds from this trend line, retest this trend line, this falling wedge, and then it will bounce back up again. So that's it for the Square. Tesla is kind of ping-ponging between this range, between 900 and 850, between 900 and 800 level. So there are two scenarios in play as SPY. Either it can go back up towards 875, move back down, or it can come back down all the way to 800 and bounce back up towards 850. Where is the 850 level? Right over here, and that makes perfect sense. Overall option activity, let's see what we have over here towards 900 and 1000. Nah, I don't think so. That is going to happen in this week. It will still move in between the range of 800 to 900. Upstart is similar to Snowflake, has a higher evaluation, which doesn't make any sense in this current market condition. Market wants it to move between 130 to 150. We are right at that level. Either we can have a bounce back, but I don't think so. It will respect this channel, bounce back from 110 level, and see, it got rejected from 160 level multiple times, 1 2 3 4 times, and it is respecting this channel as well. It bounced back from 76, then kind of like hold this line, bounce back again from here. So I'm expecting it to bounce it back from 110 level again. And lastly, we have Walmart. Walmart made a huge move because they started some kind of like a cheaper payment system for Mexico, and based on that news, they had this huge rally, which is kind of like a parabolic move, and I don't think so it can sustain this move. Walmart will probably move towards 145 level before coming back down again. I have this trend line going here at 145, so it will move towards 145 and then come back down again towards 138 level, because considering the global situation related to the supply chain, which is getting worse day by day, oil prices are going up higher. I don't think so it can sustain this move within this week. It will definitely come down. 145 is my target towards the upside, and for the downside it will move towards 138, 139. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope I gave you brief insight about different stock and where they wants to move with overall market condition. And if you get any value from this video, just give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if possible. So thank you for watching, guys, and see you again next time. Bye.